6 strange and unsolved disappearances of the past that have left both the public and investigators searching for answers. Number 1. The disturbing death of Elisa Lam. On January 26, 2013, a 21-year-old Canadian tourist named Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. But something strange happened. She never checked out, and her worried parents couldn't reach her. They got in touch with the Los Angeles Police Department. It took 18 days, but on February 19th, Lam's body was discovered. It was floating naked in a water tank on the hotel's rooftop. Her body was found due to hotel guests complaining about the hotel's water pressure. One couple even reported that the water was coming out black and had a bad taste. According to the hotel's manager, when Lam first checked in, she was staying in a hostel-style room with other travelers, but later was moved to her own private room due to complaints from her roommates about odd behavior. The last time she was seen was on surveillance footage on the hotel's elevator. The footage showed Lam acting strange and peculiar, almost like she was hiding. She also moved her hands in strange ways, and it looked like she was talking to someone who was out of the security camera's view. After her body and the surveillance footage were found, it was suggested she was on some sort of hallucinogenic drug, even though she took 4 different medications for her bipolar disorder. But tests showed no traces of drugs or alcohol in her system that could explain her death. Some thought she might have been murdered, but the autopsy found no signs of injury. The mystery deepened because no one knew how she could have reached the rooftop, climbed into the water tank, and closed the heavy 20-pound lid all by herself. To this day, the truth about what happened to Elisa Lam remains a mystery. Number 2. The ghost ship of the Mary Celeste. On December 4, 1872, a ship called the Mary Celeste, which was British-American, was discovered empty and floating in the Atlantic Ocean. Surprisingly, the ship was in excellent condition, and its cargo was completely intact, except for one thing: a lifeboat was missing, and it seemed like it had been used in an organized manner. But here's the mystery: nobody on the ship was ever heard from again. The Mary Celeste had set sail from New York, heading for Genoa, Italy, in November 1872. The ship was led by Captain Benjamin Briggs and had 7 crew members, including the captain's wife and their 2-year-old daughter. There were enough supplies on board to last for 6 months, and the ship even had some luxurious items like a sewing machine and an upright piano. Many experts believe that something really unusual and alarming must have happened for everyone to abandon such a seaworthy ship. Strangely, the last entry in the ship's daily log didn't reveal anything unusual, and everything inside the ship seemed to be in order. Over the years, people have come up with various theories, including mutiny among the crew, a pirate attack, or even an encounter with a giant octopus or sea monster. However, the real cause behind this mysterious ghost ship remains unsolved. Number 3. The body of a boy in the box. On February 25, 1957, a body of an unidentified boy was found in a box in an illegal dumping ground near Philadelphia. He was estimated to be around 4 to 6 years old, weighing about 30 pounds, and standing at about 3 feet and 3 inches. He was discovered without any clothes, but someone had wrapped him in a blanket. His hair was recently cut, and his body appeared to have been carefully cleaned. On his chin, groin, and left ankle, there were small scars, suggesting he had undergone some medical procedures. The boy had also suffered a blow to the head, which had caused his death, but there were no witnesses to explain what happened. A young man stumbled upon the boy's body while walking through the deserted area. Strangely, he waited a whole day before contacting the police. Even more strangely, another person had found the boy's body earlier, but chose not to involve the police. Due to the cold weather and the delayed phone call, the police couldn't accurately determine when the boy had passed away. Efforts were made to identify the boy. His body was kept in the morgue, and visitors from 10 different states came to see if they could recognize him, but no one could. the police distributed 400,000 flyers with the boy's description to police stations, post offices, and courthouses across the country. Even the American Medical Association joined in the search, but it all led to dead ends. The police compared the boy's footprints to records in hospitals in the area and took fingerprints, but no records indicated that this boy ever existed. In 2016, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children created a facial reconstruction of the boy through forensic work and added his details to their database. Sadly, even with these efforts, the boy's identity remained unknown until a breakthrough in December 8, 2022, more than 65 years after his body was found, and the boy was publicly identified as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Despite the identification, the exact circumstances leading to his death are uncertain, and the case is still considered an open homicide investigation. Number 4. The Watcher House. In June 2014, Maria and Derek Broaddus were excited to move into their new house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. It was a big 6-bedroom home, and they thought of it as their dream home. Plus, it was in a nice, safe neighborhood, just a few blocks from where Maria grew up, in one of the country's top 30 safest cities. But 3 days after they bought the house, even before they had moved in, they got a strange letter in their mailbox. It was addressed to the new owner in big, clumsy handwriting. The typed letter said, "Welcome to the neighborhood at 657 Boulevard. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been in my family for many years, and it's almost 110 years old now. I'm in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. Now it's my turn. Who am I? There are so many cars passing by 657 Boulevard every day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I'm in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard, and you'll see people walking by every day. Maybe I'm one of them." The letter also mentioned the Broaddus family and their children. It said, "You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 kids. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for your growing family? Or was it greed that made you bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call them and draw them to me." At the end of the letter, the author signed as The Watcher. After receiving this letter, the Broaddus family got in touch with the previous owners, John and Andrea Woods. The Woods family had lived at 657 Boulevard for 23 years and had only received a strange letter right before they moved out. They also said they never felt like they were being watched and rarely locked their doors at night. While they thought the letter was weird, they didn't pay much attention to it and threw it away. But both families went to the police, who started investigating. The police told the families not to tell anyone, including their neighbors, about the letters, as they were all considered potential suspects. 2 weeks later, the Broaddus family got a second letter that was even more unsettling. It contained personal details about the family, including the children's birth order and nicknames. The Watcher also asked, "Will the children sleep in the attic? Or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I will know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then, I can plan better." Several weeks later, the Broaddus family had put their plans on hold to move in. A third letter arrived saying, "Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you." By the end of 2014, the case had stalled. There was no digital trail, and the mental effects were taking a toll on the Broaddus family. There were no fingerprints, and no way to place somebody at the scene of the crime. Only 6 months after they received the letters, they decided to sell the home. The identity of the Watcher remains a mystery, and the house is no longer on the market. Number 5. The strange disappearance of D.B. Cooper. On Wednesday, November 24, 1971, A man identified as Daniel Cooper bought a $20 one-way ticket on Northwest Airlines on Flight 305 from Portland to Seattle, Washington. Cooper was around 40 years old and dressed in a suit. He had a briefcase and a brown paper bag with him. Before the plane took off, he asked a flight attendant for a bourbon and soda. After the plane was in the air, Cooper handed a note to the flight attendant. At first, she put it in her pocket without reading it. But then, Cooper told her, "Miss, you should read that note because I have a bomb." He said the bomb was in his briefcase and asked her to sit next to him. When he opened the briefcase, she saw red sticks and wires. Cooper told the flight attendant to write down what he was saying and take it to the captain. The note said, "I want $200,000 in cash, all in $20 bills in a knapsack by 5 p.m. I want 2 back parachutes and 2 front parachutes. When we land, I want a fuel truck ready to refuel. No tricks or I'll do something dangerous." The FBI gathered the ransom money from banks in Seattle, and the police got the parachutes from a local skydiving school. After Cooper got what he wanted, he let the passengers and some of the crew leave the plane. Then, he told the remaining crew to refuel the plane and set a course for Mexico City, while staying below 10,000 feet. During the flight, he put on dark wraparound sunglasses, which would later become famous in the investigation. A little after 8 p.m., somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Cooper jumped out of the rear door of the plane with 2 parachutes and the money. According to investigators, when D.B. Cooper demanded 4 parachutes, he chose 2 that were not ideal for a safe landing. One of the parachutes was a training chute that couldn't open at all, and the other was a military parachute that couldn't be steered. To make matters worse, he made the daring jump in the middle of the night during a storm. The visibility was terrible, and he landed in a densely wooded area. It seemed impossible for anyone to survive such a jump. While it's highly unlikely that anyone could have survived under those circumstances, the fact remains that neither D.B. Cooper's body nor his parachute was ever found. As a result, investigators are left with the unsettling possibility that he might still be out there somewhere. His fate and whereabouts are shrouded in mystery. Number 6. The mysterious death of Tupac Shakur. On September 7, 1996, at the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, well-known rapper Tupac Shakur attended a Mike Tyson boxing match. After the match, Tupac left with Suge Knight, the CEO of Death Row Records. Outside the arena, a fight broke out between Tupac, his bodyguards, and a member of the Southside Crips gang named Orlando Anderson. Once the fight was broken up, Tupac and Knight drove away in Knight's car, with Tupac's entourage following behind in their cars. While they were stopped at an intersection, a white Cadillac pulled up beside Knight's car, and someone inside fired shots, hitting Tupac 4 times and grazing Knight's head with a bullet fragment. In 2014, retired LVPD Sergeant Chris Carroll, who was the first police officer at the scene, revealed what happened. When he opened the car door, Tupac fell out, covered in blood, and Carroll asked, "Who shot you?" Tupac, struggling for breath, responded with expletives before losing consciousness. Tupac was rushed to UMC, where he was placed on life support and put into a medically induced coma. Sadly, on September 13, 1996, 6 days after the shooting, Tupac passed away due to his injuries at the age of 25. The Las Vegas police never arrested anyone in connection with the murder. They also failed to follow up with Yaki Gaddafi, a member of Tupac's entourage who claimed he could identify the shooter. Unfortunately, Gaddafi was murdered only 2 months after the shooting, and he couldn't be interviewed. The case remained unsolved, leading to suspicions directed at Tupac's friend Suge Knight, and even the rapper Biggie Smalls. However, a recent development on September 29, 2023, led to the charging of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis in connection with Tupac's murder. Dwayne is not alleged to have been the actual shooter in that fateful night in Las Vegas, but he is facing accusations of calling the hit on Tupac. The trial is currently ongoing, and the truth is yet to be determined.